Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, so those were both approved unanimously. The minutes from March 8th will be moved to our next meeting in the beginning of April. Those will be available, and most likely minutes from this meeting as well. Bills and payrolls, was there?
We did it on the first meeting, so there isn't anything.
There isn't anything that needs us to review
Yep.
that. Okay, perfect. Okay. We were hoping to have Hayward Health Services come tonight and talk to us. Unfortunately, that we couldn't coordinate that, so we're going to pass over Hayward Health Services, and hopefully we'll get them in maybe at our next meeting, so we're working on a date that'll work for everybody. Student representatives are not here this evening. Just for the record, we had a snow day today in the district, so it's not surprising that perhaps the students decided to enjoy their day off and aren't here with us. So we'll catch up with them at our next meeting. And public input. We don't see anyone from the public here tonight, so we're good to move on from that. And same with the NDEA. We heard from them last time, so they're not here tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Anne Marie just for an FY23 budget update, any info on FY24, and then your business manager report if you want to go right into that.
FY23, where district is holding its own, where we're in a budget freeze, that will not be lifted. Our bottom line is dwindling, but we're making it. We're paying people and we're fixing things that are broke. So what more could we ask for? The grants are starting, if you look at them, they're starting to wind down, and the revolving accounts, the school choice one, we are trying to preserve as much as possible in that one to roll to next year. FY24, I don't think we know anything more than we did last week.
The only thing I would say is that there are, there's word coming out about, for example, the rural aid. Maybe the criteria would change a little bit. We don't quite know what the impact of that will be, but so with the new governor and with the whole new administration, there might be some tweaks here and there to the things that can be tweaked. But other than that, the Chapter 70 there has been no update or anything to that effect. So far, so good. We're glad.
And we sent the certified budget information to the town,
Yep.
so we completed that process. We did that the next day, so really we're kind of a wait and see at this point.
Yeah, we'll be presenting tonight at 7:15 to Templeton and presenting to Phillipston on the 30th of March.
Great. Anyone have any questions on any of the business managers' reports or the budget at all for Amy? Just want to say thank you for running a tight ship and keeping us in the black, which is the most important part of it. So, and thank you for everyone in the district for towing the line with the budget freeze. It certainly is not a pleasant thing to hear, especially so early in the school year when we have to do it. But it's paying off now to be able to react when things break, and just paying people, which is important. So thank you. We're going to go to curriculum and instruction, and I'm going to throw it over to Molly. She's got a few things on her plate to talk about, so I'll throw it over to you. questions or comments?
A question, to go back to the biomass. I saw it, and I think it was one of the presentations that, grades 8 through 12 can self-report for the biomass. How are they able to do that? Is it email get sent to their NRSD account? Like, do the teachers, they, I guess, how do they access it? How do students?
No, Dr. Kiki, are you aware of that? I'm aware of the teachers at the elementary level report students, because they self-report on our students. At the upper grades, I'm honestly not sure if that's done.
When you talk about self-report, I want to make sure I have, when the survey goes out, right, the questionnaire, I should say, parents sign in, they sign up to be part of the BIMAS, and they receive an email to their school email. If in fact the parent, if this is, again, I want to make sure that I'm following along here, as long as the parent has, because the parent gets one, and so does the student, right, for BIMAS. Is that what we're talking about, the self-reporting? I want to make sure I'm clear.
I think the student gets one to their student email account, because I think
Yeah.
my kids both received, hey,
Yeah.
if you want to participate, and the link was in the student email address. I, as a parent, got one, and I could then fill out
Same
for
with me,
my kids.
and
right here.
and my son
Yeah.
also received one.
Right, and that was to his school account.
To his school email.
Yes, so that I think is the answer that you're looking for.
Yeah, because I was thinking about the student, like, they can fill it out when they feel most comfortable, whether it's home in their room, or the teacher is prompting them if they wanted their parents to participate, they're doing it in a class. That's, I guess, the information is so important. I was just curious how, it's so great to get feedback from this group, this group of students. I was just wondering how this is going to go about it.
I'm going to have to get back to you on
So,
that. I honestly
Yeah.
don't know, but we could definitely find that out. I mean, now I'm curious.
Yeah, and
I
to your
didn't
point,
know.
it'd be nice if we gave them some time somewhere to say, hey, we'll take 15 minutes out of whatever the class it is, to do that, or do it at your leisure, but, it would be nice if we provided, because you're right, that I never really considered
And
that.
it came just from a presentation, in one of the slides, and so like, how wonderful for them to have a voice, right? I mean, that's what I'm doing. It's not just the parents. And then, the parent report, the teacher report, the student report, and then you can get a better idea as we're adding to this like information as well.
Questions? Anything else? I'm just curious, going back to the Dean of Students being available for questions, did a lot of parents have questions? I know the timing was a little off, but the report cards, do you think that we did get a lot of good coverage? I know we sent the video out. Was there parents who came in response to that? Did we have a pretty good turnout looking to seek information?
There were a few that came in response to that. I don't have numbers, but I know the there were a few that very I don't think it's a lot, but I can get specific numbers.
Yeah, I was just curious. Good. Well, considering that's new and it was the first thing that, was really pushed from the new website and the communication thing, if just one person came, that means we reached one more person than we have in the past. So.
I do think that as you'll see on the proposed calendars for next school year, one of the recommendations from the whole board and policy was to align parents to the conference dates next year so that they are after report cards come out so that teachers and parents have those to help speak to. And so you'll see in the proposed calendar that that will really assist with being able to speak to the on the report card. It was a great spot because she was like right in the line of traffic as people came in and out. But we absolutely walked out and commented to each other, who is she here?
Who is she?
Who was she?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well, good point.
Yeah, she was very friendly. She said hello and we waved. And I'll pass that along.
Thanks. Especially with it being a new position too.
Yes.
Like, you know, come meet me, have
Yeah.
a big sign, you know, the big yellow sign, the
Yeah.
guy with the spinning arrow.
Yeah, we could just get a mask on.
Okay. Anything else from all? No? Okay. Don't have any surplus items. That was technically when we checked. I'm just gonna make sure nothing snuck in there. Nope, so we're gonna pass over surplus items and we are going to the calendar. So, every year, there is a calendar committee that is created and it takes a cross-section of, people in the district and they come up with a recommendation, for what they think will work best for the students, and then that gets turned into a presentation for the school committee. I'm just gonna, for the new members, I'm gonna give just a little bit of history. We've talked a lot about, I wanna say for, if Dr. Casavan, I think maybe one of your first years was, do we get rid of February and April and make a March? I mean, we've done a whole bunch of things that we always come back to. The February time off, the April time off. So, not that people's thoughts and comments and questions about that we can't go over again, but I just want to let you know that is something that had been discussed. Typically, the calendars end up being, what would it look like if we start before Labor Day? And what will it look like if we start after Labor Day? So I see that as exactly what this year represents again.
We're trying to turn the monitors on for the cameras at home, but for some odd reason they're not turned on.
On a snow day.
It's a snow day. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
So attached to the agenda, and if we can get these TVs to work, I'll post them. But it's the best committee that I sit on. I've said this every year. It's the same group of folks.
And they all bring snacks. I think
There's
that's
snacks,
my favorite.
there's just a general, just a general frivolity about it, so, so we have both calendars, and we really keep them much the same. So, very candidly, we looked at a couple different, trying to tweak this or trying to tweak that. We did not, go into any major overhaul of the calendar. We always talk about March. We always talk about, hey, wouldn't it be great to have a break in March? And obviously we have MCAS during it's different now. It's a window, but generally it could almost never be done because MCAS was done on a very prescribed amount of days. And but regardless, let's just say hypothetically that was the will of the committee, we still probably would want to give folks at least a year in advance. So in other words, we would start it not next school year, but the year after, something to that effect. Okay, 1-4. So there we go. It should be up. I can't tell if it is. All right. Yes. All right.
It's up on 2 TVs.
Yeah, look at that. So there we go. So ultimately. Oh, there we go. So this is how it would look. We have 2 PD days prior to the. I'm sorry. Oh, then you said something to me. Prior to the school year, starting for teacher PD, and it really just follows the same. I'll call it footprint as this year's and the year. Well, yes, and in previous years. I don't want COVID aside, obviously. So ultimately, it was agenda. I don't know if you have any questions.
I have a couple of comments.
Or comments.
I'll start, and then I'd love to get people's thoughts, because when I look at this calendar, we've had the debate, do we start before Labor Day, after Labor Day, whatever. We've pretty much started before Labor Day for a very long time, so that's nothing new for parents to plan around. As a parent, couple things I'm looking at that I'm going, that's kind of awful. December break is 6.5 days. That's not a lot of time off for me to plan my trip to Florida and and take my kids. Again, where Christmas falls, and that being a holiday that we have to recognize, makes that kind of difficult.
Right.
But you could tag days before or after, just throwing that out there, that as a parent, that would be something I'd be like, okay, how does that impact me? And then the only other comment I have is the second conferences for the middle school and high school. I see they're in April. They're so close to the end of the year. Are we missing an opportunity by not having them earlier, after the second report card comes out, to try and make sure that we are giving students enough time to turn things around if that's what the messaging needs to be, especially looking at our seniors, who we really want to make sure that they're on track to actually walk and go through graduation. So again, I know the committee you have together includes all these stakeholders, but just something that I would throw out there to say, what was the thought process of having it after I guess it would be the third report card comes out.
So a lot of discussion went into what we would have liked to have done, and we talked about the high school, and we talked about the elementary. Some slight adjustments were made to that point, is that if you notice the elementary conferences, they tried to get them as close to the first trimester as possible, or thereabouts. It's not, again, it's not perfect. But in terms of the conferences for April, we really did not, that wasn't a big topic of discussion in terms of the positioning of those 2 days. Again, the elementary is 3, as you can, those are 3 half days, which really that's an ad, quite frankly. And so no, not the April. It wasn't that large of a discussion. They were really trying to connect with parents at those key times at the beginning of the school year, whether it be for the elementary and or the high school, middle school, high school. So
I do like the elementaries falling after that, in that time frame, because that also gives an opportunity for the teachers to talk to parents about, okay, so here's where your student is, and having a discussion about what to do over the summer. It's close enough. As I said, my only concern is really at the high school, not so much the middle school, at the high school level. Does that give us enough time to put in any plans that we need the parents' assistance to get these kids on track? As I said, I'm really thinking the seniors, because that's the group that we want to get out the door on schedule.
yeah, and they were all duly represented, I would say, in both groups, middle and high school. Preferred April when we talked about it. We tried a lot of different things about trying to, could we do middle school? Because if we had our way, we would go back to 3-tier busing for the day, and we'd have middle school at a very specific time, and the high school at when we used to have tiered busing, that we could do that, because the middle school and the high school bused separately, and of course the elementary bused separately, so we had 3 tiers. That's not the case any longer. So middle school and high school are really married to it in terms of the same days. So there was a lot of discussion about what would be best. It's just not possible to do it any other way when it comes to middle and high school. When it comes to April, they went with the familiarity of it. The representatives from both the middle and the high school that were there felt that April, yes, it's always been done in April, and they felt that worked.
So, different question here.
Nope, that's
Okay.
fine.
One of the questions that's been coming up a lot lately, and I'm sure it will shock you, is whether or not we build in days for snow days to accommodate
So
for that.
yeah.
We have to.
We-
We have to build 5 then.
We build in 5, and there's a lot of reasons. We build in 5 because one of the statute is that anything after April 1st doesn't have to be made up. If you've used your 5, you've used up to 5 snow days. We need to make it 2 more weeks. I'm sure that there are other reasons, right? So, but they always build in 5 because you want to kind of project out, look, worst case scenario, 5 days, where does that put you? So from a very pragmatic standpoint, when I look at it, I think I, you know, I obsess about this because I cannot go past June 30th. And depending on when June 30th falls, that can be problematic on a lot of levels, but the state has been unyielding in these situations in which days have been used. And again, I could tell you several stories from some districts around us who've had some legitimate issues. They've asked a lot of different ways to make up days, and they were absolutely not allowed. So those 5 days give you an idea of where, if it got really bad, because on the average, the last 3 years, we've had a total of 4 snow days. You know, this year we've had, I don't know, 100. It seems like 100, right? But we've had 8. So it gives you an idea of where, how many days, you know, you get to play with. And so I always advocate for starting before Labor Day, always, just given the weather pattern in this area. I don't think it matters out near Boston, quite frankly. They haven't had a snow day. There are many communities who have not had a snow day than people who have, and just so happens that it's all of us, north and west of 495. So that is always my vote, because every day counts. Well, it'll count this year. As I was told, my depressing phone call, they could tell the depression in my voice, I was told, the sadness, that the last day of school is the 26th of June, which is a Monday, which only leaves 4 days from that point. And that's problematic, because we just had 2 back-to-back. So we're looking, so anyway, I'm sure I could go on. But yes, we do try to build them in, but for a variety of different reasons.
And I will say, in the past, I think it was a long time ago, maybe Emery, you remember, but did we take away from an April vacation once? This was years ago, because we had so many.
The ice storm.
Yeah.
The ice storm in
Oh,
2008,
yes.
I think we took Good Friday away, but that becomes a little problematic because it is a paid holiday for one of our unions, so we have to work around that.
I've already received legitimate and sincere requests to do that from staff. That's something that, again, that's a conversation that lots of people would need to have. But as of right now, we're on Monday, June 26th. I think that, I mean, again, 2 weeks. We're just really looking at 2 weeks, and I think we're, well, hopefully looking in the clear. I don't know. I can't.
Well, and I would say, and to your point, you know, if in fact, you know, something happened, we certainly would, I think we as a committee would have to look at a recommendation from, you know, Dr. Kazanev about, you know, do we look to, Good Friday's a tough one, as you said, but, you know, and it doesn't help too that Juneteenth is now a holiday, we have to recognize we lost a day. It's like all of these things, it's the perfect storm.
There's a community local to us who is now at the precipice of June 30th, and the commissioner has not returned a phone call. They are very, very strict in terms of what kind of leniency they're willing to give. So it's best to plan accordingly. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you like.
So with these 2 calendars, we start
Open.
before Labor Day, and it's June 11th, which gives you 5, 9, 10, 11, 12 days, if necessary.
So, yeah.
The other one ends on June 17th, which leaves you with 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, and you can't count June 9th.
Right, that's 8
Juneteenth,
without-
it's 1,
yeah,
2,
without
3,
8, so
4.
8.
So 5 school days would bring you to Tuesday, the 25th. And right now, if we were on that calendar, let's just say, we'd be up against it. So there would have to be a conversation, probably like today, like let's fast forward, that to take April vacation days as days. Really, we'd have to do that. So there's in case in point, if we had 8 snow days with this calendar next year, we would have to legitimately have that conversation, because it would have to happen. You know, if we had another snow day, because we can't go into July.
So, with all of that being said, anyone else have any questions or comments?
I just have another question. So when I look at March,
On
my
what?
elementary conferences, I noticed that the 28th is PTA teachers. And then when you go to April, to compensate for the Muslim types, then there's a PTA. Is that done on purpose, like to have those consecutive half days?
Yes, we've positioned those days in March. If you look at well, you must be looking at what day is that? The 28th? No.
Yeah, 25th, for
Are we talking about the current,
This
next?
upcoming, yeah,
No.
the upcoming calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we position those, quite frankly, because March is a tough month. We try to, I'll be very candid, we try to give the kids a break, give people a break in general with a half day. We tie them into conferences, because a lot of work is done after conferences or during conferences, and it's a good time to, to finish up whatever work that you need to do. PD is happening, so it's not like everyone's just free to go. So it really doesn't matter where we put the half day necessarily, quite well, if you think about it.
Well,
But
to
we
your
can-
point, when talking with parents last week with all the budgets, they were saying to me, wow, there's, you have a half day for the conferences, and then you have the PE half day, and then with the March, then the Good Friday, like, some parents are like, I need to work, I need to find a sitter, I have to use my free time off, like things like that. And so, I hear what you're saying with the teachers, and I want our perspective, so extra work they have to do. Just, I needed to, some parents asked me to bring this up, so
Sure.
I am.
Yep.
I don't know, does it make a difference to like, we say March, the conferences at the end of that week ahead? And that way it's really breaking up the half day.
Yes.
So the March, the proposed dates for the elementary conferences and half days are intentional, because for the contract, for past practice, I should say, the elementary teachers have so many days from when the term closes, so the trimester closes, to when the
Mhm.
report card is due. So these were selected, these were selected by the team, because they are aligned with when the report card distribution days are, so that, that teachers would have their grades closed. Term dates are specific, there's a number of days, and so these are aligned with the time for the elementary.
And is that the same then for April with the middle school, high school?
No, that's past practice for the traditionally have their conferences, this is not aligned specifically with the term starts,
Because if you look at April, say like, you have a middle school or high school, or there's 3 half days, and then you have school vacations, and for parents, like a week and a half.
So one of there's a, to the point about the report cards. Also, if you're gonna have a disruptive anything, you wanna get it all out of the way. So to scatter a bunch of half days, it's just, I don't know, around March or April, it doesn't really matter. What happens is that it throws kind of a cog or a wrench, I should say, into the works. That's why in November, to be very candid, we put them where we put them. Generally speaking, traditionally, although not acceptable, it's a low attendance week. And those are not, just for the record, because this is the record, they're not approved absences, just so you know, because we are starting to get those phone calls about Monty Tech, about their attendance, and I'm going to say to you that, I say this specifically because we get a lot of phone calls. I'm looking at the attendance person right now, who will absolutely verify that people are become really upset that some of this time has been counted. DESE only looks at a day, either you're here or you're not. there is no delineation. A district can say, well, that is an acceptable, or, day off, a doctor's note, because schools have different graduation requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So if we're going to do it, we try to keep it all in 1 week as much as possible, so if there's gonna be disruption, it's all one time and not scattered throughout, through a month.
I just want to add to that, Sheldon, that one of the greatest things that came out of that calendar committee, the first year it was the feedback from the teachers,
Yeah.
especially at the elementary level.
Yes.
We used to do PD days like on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And they'd be like, that the kids come in on Monday, we get them settled down by half of the day, and then they're out on Wednesday, and then we gotta settle everyone down on Thursday again. So, I think that was one of the best things that came out of that calendar committee.
And parents actually responded, good, bad, or indifferent, that having it on a consistent day was far better than because how it used to be is the first half day would be on a Monday, the second would be on a Tuesday, it would be on a Wednesday, and they would rotate it, and we're trying to figure out. So now they're on Fridays, it's at the end of the week. If parents are going to take off for the weekend, which a lot do, then they've got a half day to do it. I'm talking about a traditional half day. And so it's benefited, I think, everyone to some extent. I know that we still at times get some feedback to the negative, but we try to just put all of the disruption in one week as best as possible.
I'll say as a parent, I don't love the Friday classes, because when it's,
Right.
until Monday, so. But, I'll be honest, it's nice to just have the explanation, and I know that Alex is doing really hard, and I appreciate you working at the beginning, explaining, who does it, and it's from, all different aspects. Scheduling, right? It's,
Sometimes parents might not understand that that is something that is expected of the district. And so if I look at March specifically, there are 2 half days, but there is no half day in December. So it's not like we're doubling up on Sundays
Or September.
And that ongoing professional development teachers and that is not,
Anything else? So we have 2 choices. We can motion to accept one or the other. We can vote it up or down and tell them to go back to the drawing board. And we have control over this. The school committee sets the calendar. So this is our purview here. So does someone want to make a motion to accept one version or the other, either the before Labor Day or the after Labor Day calendar?
I would like to make a motion to accept the before Labor Day calendar as presented.
Okay, so I have a motion to accept before Labor Day. Do I have a second? Second over here. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
how does the staff feel? I mean, do you have an idea from the staff how they?
Well, we go through, we utilize the committee to be their voice.
Could you give out, who's on that committee, just so, because I don't think we really broke down.
boy.
Not even by name, there's a couple of people
Oh,
from the
yeah, I could almost
elementary,
go by
a couple
name,
from
but,
the-
we definitely have 2 high school, I believe it's 2, 2, 2, and 2. I think there's 2 high school, 2 middle, I want to say there's 3 elementary for some reason. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we could thank them perfectly.
Thank you for letting me swing just for that amount of time. Appreciate that, Molly. Thank you. Thank you, Molly. Thank you.
From the high school, we have Eric Hyman and Karen O'Day. Lisa Parker, Kate Fournier, James Louis, and
As well as myself, and
sorry.
it would have been, Molly is on the committee, but she had another committee to go to, so, but,
Yeah, it
Anne Marie, sorry, it's Anne Marie, sorry, Anne Marie, I meant to say Anne Marie. I was looking at Molly, I meant to say Anne Marie. But, so it's a great committee, and so they're there to bring their interests forward, so.
And so in general, they're okay with you and you don't feel like they prefer one.
Oh, there's only one,
So what-
I won't out the member, but there was only one member who, was more partial to after Labor Day. The remaining members of the group shouted her down, and no, it's not like that at all. The majority, the group was definitely pre Labor Day.
I actually am that year, I really like going back to school in the way. I like kind of getting some days out of the way and then having a nice long break to recuperate, especially as I'm welcoming second graders in, and I'm just thinking about, elementary schools and how hard it is for them to sit in the classroom all day and then not take it. Although I do think that even if they were to go back later, they could still get a long weekend.
We liked, a lot of teachers like the fact when you start them like 4, 4, and 5, right? So you'll hear that a lot. You get them for a couple days, they go on along, and you get them back for a short week, and then you get them back, because it's just easier to, especially at the elementary, to acclimate. Yes. Well, at the elementary, there are, and we have, I will call them portable air conditioners up here at the middle high school. Huh?
It is now.
It is.
We did have was it 3 years ago? No, 3, 4 years ago, we had some.
3 years
heat
ago, I
days.
had to
Remember
call
that
a heat
wave?
day.
So, yeah. Yeah.
We used to have heat days. Yes.
Make it a June 26th.
And the other thing, Danielle,
They
just
generally
you
happen
probably
after
haven't had a chance to read through, the Friday before Labor Day is negotiated no school day. So that's why you see 4 days before.
Yeah, I
Labor Day. That was something that the teachers had
contract.
asked for. They wanted that last hurrah for the long weekend, and it didn't, it really works out well for us, so.
That's not really a lot for the teachers there, lesson planning.
It's the hurrah, I've got a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna, yeah, after meeting the classes for the first 4 days, then they go, oh, good, well, let's see what I gotta do. So, yes. Any other questions or comments? So the motion on the floor is to approve the start date before Labor Day calendar. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So that was unanimous, so we can get that published. And, to your point, Shauna, about, parents, hopefully this gives them enough time to get, to get some help and get things scheduled so that they can find, it's just hard. Did we run, any after-school care on those half-days? To be honest.
It does run,
It does, but there's
But-
limited space.
but it's extended day for people who are already in extended day, not, they don't
No, it's not drop-in.
currently
Yeah.
have
Okay.
drop-ins.
Yeah, I
I'm
do.
sure it's probably not because of the other 4 days you had, so that time off or rearranging your work schedule. So I think as parents, we're all just doing it.
This has been a tough year. So, good.
Yes.
So that was the calendar that we've approved. Another piece of new business is for fiscal year '24, school choice participation. I just want to read this because everybody needs to be aware of how school choice works and what we have to decide on and what the state is going to require for reporting. So just the note here, we'll need to vote on this if we limit the number of incoming students in particular grades. As per our usual procedure, we introduce the subject at this meeting. Dr. Kazavant will come back and make his recommendation in either probably the second meeting in April. I think that would probably give him enough time, which will be towards the end of April. And then we'll vote in either that meeting or the first meeting in May, because we need to respond to DESE. DESE, if you don't say anything to DESE, they just assume that you're accepting school choice in
Yeah.
every grade, period. So we have to let them know that, we're not gonna accept school choice students in these particular grades or whatever the mix is. So that, I just wanted to let everybody know that that will be the process. So more to come. And Dr. Cassavant, do you think the second meeting in April, you want to have your recommendation?
I think that would be the best, as we've done in the past. It'll be contingent on, of course, the budget passing, as it has been in years past. I'm really thinking of what I'm thinking about is the elementary. Mind you, we had those conversations. But yeah, the second meeting in April would be the best.
All right, so that'll be on the agenda under the superintendent report for the school choice recommendations.
I know that portal was looking, has there been,
Tiffany?
yes, thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
the Google Doc or portal is open for folks to put their information in. It's wide open, and so anyone who'd like to have their child considered, if in fact we have open seats, is encouraged to put their information into the Google sheet.
Yeah, one of the things that I think we did last year, and I liked the way that we did it, is we were more specific on timing of things. So once the recommendation was made, we laid out the timeline, that portal was gonna stay open until X date, right? And then we would do the drawing on Y date. So we were really specific for the parents to know that you have until this date to get that application in to be considered. So. Okay. And now off to you, Dr. Cassavant, for your superintendent report.
There's going to be, we've done a lot of talking in the last 3 weeks, so I only have two quick, wonderful things that we wish our cheerleaders well as they head for states, nationals on Friday. I believe their last practice is tonight, so they're just fine tuning. I said this earlier, but with the snow day today, the last day of school is Monday, June 26th. And that's all I have, Madam Chair, at this point.
And we're just gonna settle?
Just let that marinate. Yeah.
Is the
Monday.
last day a half day or full?
It is. It's a half day.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Which is just gonna be awesome on a Monday.
I love
Half day.
those. We love
So,
those.
Yeah.
We love those a lot.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
well, thank you.
Very well.
I can't believe you don't have more to talk about. We haven't seen each
I
other in
can't.
so long.
I'm sorry.
All right. Other items not anticipated, we didn't have anything come up within 48 hours. School committee comments. Any comments from the committee?
I have a question, how did the e-com go?
It was great, we had a great turnout, we made about $1,000 for our first year, which is great. Proceeds will go help the senior class, but they're gonna help with some prom safety day stuff, so that's gonna be, help to make that a eventful day, so that's great.
Great. Did we get pictures? Will we post them as a district?
Yeah, I do have a few pictures.
That'd be fun to
I just
post.
gotta go through them.
Yeah, make sure they're appropriate.
Yeah, it was all
Yes, it will. It was. Oh, that's great. Good. Well, congratulations on a great event. Any other comments from the committee?
I just want to say thank you to the parents and community members that came out. For me, I know it's super helpful to hear from them about what their wants are and the concerns really help guide me and, the vote, I guess, that I have. My question to Margaret was, can members still submit something to be, read if, they don't have to show up, it doesn't have to be just the budget hearing?
So we've pretty much made a policy that if someone emails comments for public comment, we will read them. So we do give people that option. If anyone wants to submit a comment, they should include in there, please, for public comment, please read. The other, it doesn't have to be read. They can use that as a school committee at NRSD.org if they just want to communicate with the committee. And I think we have notified them that I believe Cassavant and Susan also get copied on that. So it does get into, the right hands of people to hear things. So we always want the commentary, and if someone wants it read, we're more than happy to do that.
And I do want to add to that very briefly that as much as emailed in or you need to show up to the meeting. Yes, of course I read, you know, when I was posting to get everyone's attention to the budget, I was reading everything. Of course I was appreciating and understanding them, but in order for it to count as official public comment, it must be emailed or you need to come to the meeting. I cannot read Facebook comments as public comments.
And I would love to hear from Eric more often, not just around the budget, which is, you know, the most exciting meeting, right? But all year round, about anything that we do. So,
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting fine line too, because, you know, it would be great to hear from the parents. And again, I just want to put out there to remember not to be specific to your own child. We can't read anything that could violate any of the FERPA, the privacy laws that are out there. So just, you know, a note of caution, because, you know, we tend to, and I know I've done it over the years, we talk about our own kids because we're comfortable laying that out on the table because we're recorded, we know that. And for someone who isn't used to that, it's sometimes hard to remember, like, oh, I just said that, and the entire community now knows, right? So I would just put that note of caution out there. So, a good point.
it's just nice to have some people, you know, in the crowd with us.
Yeah. Any other comments? I just want to echo what John said, and again, thank everyone for the commentary. I also want to thank Anne Marie for once again putting together numbers and we're not using pivot, so what word are we using this year? I forget. Being able to just react and get us new numbers and do that on the fly, because that is such an important thing that we needed to have. So I want to thank you for doing that and all the work that has gone into from everybody, the administration down to, you know, the principals, the staff, everybody who's provided feedback. So thank you once again for getting us through the budget process. It was good. It was good. It was nice this year to get back to kind of a normal process with input, and so it was good. All right, subcommittee reports. Academic, we met like a week or so ago.
I was just going
trying to
through,
think
like, what did we
and
talk
we
about?
talked
Since the
about
last
everything
meeting?
that we've last Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about basically everything we've gone over in the past couple of meetings. I don't think there was anything new, right? Okay. Administrative, we do have request. The administrative group has gotten together, and they've added a few things to the definition of what the subcommittee would like to have under their purview. So there's a request to update the charter / description, whatever you want to call it, of the administrative subcommittee. And the addition would be to include the school resource officer and district communications under that subcommittee's purview. So the new charter would be that the administrative subcommittee would deal with school committee operations, central office operations, and personnel, insurance, transportation, school resource officer, and district communications. Do you, Jen, or whoever's on the committee, anything to add to that? I mean,
No, it's fairly self-evident. I mean, the district communications has been sort of a growing topic over the last, you know, we started talking a lot about it last year. I'm sure it was talked about before that. And then with the communications survey, it just became really evident that that needed to be a more official topic for discussion. And then, of course, school resource officer is ever present and critical as we talk about our safety for our district. So we wanted to make sure that that was incorporated as well. So, you know, it's really just as basic as wanting to move it from new topics to ongoing topics of conversation.
So I would entertain a motion to update the charter of the administrative subcommittee as presented to include to their existing scope, school resource officer and the district communications. So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Hank has been quiet today. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So we will update the subcommittee listing to just add those things in, and we'll get that posted shortly. Finance and budget, I don't think we need an update there. I think we're financed and budgeted out at the moment. Facilities, has the facilities team?
We only canceled last meeting, most of the schedule there.
Not as of yet.
Policy, we were planning on bringing some first readings. We spent our last meeting going through a whole bunch of things, and lo and behold, MASC sent out some policy guidance, and most every policy that we discussed is now being updated by MASC, or they've asked us to look at it again. So we meet next week, and we will review the additional reviews to those policies and then bring whatever changes forward, so. On the 30th. Oh, that's right, sorry. So we're going to skip over that first reading. And then long-term planning meets.
We were on the books for March 23rd, but we forgot to ask our new member if she's
Yes, that's
available.
fine. Yes, that is fine, I'm good with that. So, okay, anything else with subcommittees? Okay. Correspondence, there was nothing that came in that we needed to address. Our next meeting is not until now Wednesday, April 5th, so we have a few weeks off, 5:30 right here. So, an executive session, do we need executive session tonight?
No,
So
Madam Chair.
Dr. Casman says no, we did not need it. So unless anyone has anything else, we have a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
And a second, I don't know, pick one. Shout or Danielle. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. So we have officially adjourned, and I just want to thank everybody once again for coming out, on the committee and everyone here supporting us 3 weeks in a row. This is a big commitment, so I want to thank everybody. And our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Yeah.
That's a record.
I know.